James fashion, we have not prepared anything for this.
Exactly. Well, and so we'll get started. Hey everybody, welcome to JandJonJazz. This is my buddy James.
This is Jeff. I'm sorry, I'm jet lagged. This is Jeff.
This is Jeff.
I think.
Yeah. So we're at the JazzWire Summer Summit in Rockville, Maryland, and James just flew in from Germany yesterday, and we've been teaching, we've done some playing, we've done some teaching. This is an elective, and so hopefully this is going to work out, and you are going to see this on the internet. We've got the live studio audience here. They've promised to heckle, so we're looking forward to that. So the title of this elective is...
How many choruses is too many? How many choruses is too many?
There we go. Well, jump in. I'm interested in this answer.
Great. Well, let me ask the room. How many choruses is too many? How do you answer that question?
Might depend on the setting.
Okay. Give me an example of a setting where...
Like if you're playing a quartet or a trio and you want the body to stretch out the song because you're at the gig, maybe it's just background as opposed to maybe performing with in front of an audience where it's performance-based as opposed to background-based.
Okay. So I think that's right. It can be situational. There are going to be those times where, yeah, it's a gig that's less of a gig and more of like a job. Maybe if you're playing a background music gig, you got to stretch tunes. You got time to fill, right? So in those cases, taking lots of choruses when you're wallpaper music, yeah, that's no problem at all, right? And so then it's, at least for me, I don't know about you, Jeff, but in those instances, on those kinds of gigs, I actually kind of look forward to playing those sorts of gigs because it's like, stick a harmony in my horn, I'm playing with my friends, I'm having a good time, I experiment, I try things, the stakes are pretty low, you know, I feel like I can mess up and not feel so self-conscious about it. So yeah, situationally, you might be in a place where you want to stretch, have longer tunes. You're playing a concert, however, that might not be the right vibe. Or like what we did today, when we're like, we're going to play for 15 minutes, 2 tunes, like bang, bang, you know. And then you might get to a place where you pre-plan that. All right, everybody take 3, or not everybody's going to play on this tune, right? Because you want to play more music than you do stretching out on tunes. So those are all examples of planning this out. What I thought we could get into, and Jeff's agreed to bring his horn and play, and he can play for me, is just on an intuitive level, how do you find out, how do you figure out when you think you've said enough or when you're out of things to say? And so I kind of want to put Jeff on the spot. And just,
shocking.
Right, totally shocking. And just go. Just don't even think about the amount of choruses. Just play and play and play. And
as if I were a tenor player.
As if you were a tenor player, which should be fairly natural, right? But what I want you all to do is kind of keep a loose count on where we are. Jeff plays great, so you're not going to get bored. But I want to know, is there a place where it feels like he's nearing the end? Stop when you feel like you want to stop. So just pay attention to how many choruses he plays, and let's talk about how that felt. Blues?
Yeah.
Key?
Yeah, let's have one.
Right. Which one?
Got it. B flat.
Got it. Okay. What's your flavor? What's your tempo?
We just right into solo.
Yep.
1, 2, 1, 2.
because I stopped counting after 2.
Me too.
I'm glad. Those were 5 burning choruses. Did his solo have a shape? Yeah. Okay. So, were you thinking about? Were you thinking about the amount of choruses you were going to play? No.
I thought 2 things that I remember, and one I try to say to myself every time I start soloing is, dude, relax. Before I start, because it's easy to kind of pile in 4th gear, and then that limits myself. It either limits myself because I've only got this far to go with my knowledge, or if I choose to go further, now I'm repeating myself, and I feel like I don't have room to build. So I try to tell myself, play a note, stop, take a breath, take the horn out of your mouth. Now place it. So that's starting with less gives me more rope to go. So I thought that, and then I played for a while, and then I found myself in altissimo playing the blues scale. It's like, well, damn, I don't have much more place to go from here.
You're in, at this point, you're like 4th gear to 5th gear.
And I'm at 7,500 RPM, so it's like, I may as well just kind of stop now. And now, so, somebody like Michael Brecker, fill in the blank, could go and go from there. So I kind of felt like for the room, for the setting, for what we were doing, like that's enough histrionics, and so those were kind of the 2 thoughts I had. The number of choruses wasn't part of it, it was just sort of where I found myself in the book.
Right.
Yeah.
What I found in my teaching is that, and that's why I kind of wanted to have, I'm not giving you a lesson, but it's the vibe of like, I want to pick your brains while you play, and get inside the player's mind. What I found is tempo determines, in a lot of cases, what feels like the right amount of choruses, right? So we were just at a nice, having a nice time tempo. And the blues, most of us stretch out and play more choruses on the blues, right? It's a shorter form. It doesn't feel like it's dragging on as much as if you played maybe 5 choruses on I Love You, right? So form and tempo are determinative factors in, I think, what feels like the right amount of choruses. So if you're taking notes, the blues is sort of the place where I feel like you've got a little license to stretch more, right? You've got a little license to stretch more. Now what I want to try is, let's do a completely different tempo. Let's just let's do E flat this time, just to break up the trumpet key monotony here. So we'll do blues in E flat. But we're going to get right here. Same exercise. Just really curious how many choruses he moves on. 1, 2, 3.
I was thinking about stopping after 2, trying not to be in my head, knowing what we were doing, but 2 felt good to me. Like I would have been good with 2, but then you started pedaling at the end of it, and it's like, okay, someone's pulling back the slingshot. like that's the image I always have with pedal tone, or when Sherry starts doing the press rolls, like, oh damn, it's about to jump off.
I gotta stay in here, man.
Yeah, that's it. But like I'm not getting off the ride now. It's just fun. So when I heard that, it's like, okay, and so for me it was I've said, like, with what's going on in the room, with everything that's going on, I'm good. But then you're like, no, I got another gear. So it's like, so I definitely changed my mind because of the accompaniment.
Interesting.
In that one.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, a slower tempo is going to mean the choruses last longer in physical time. But there is something about a blues at this tempo that it's also okay to stretch, but most people's tendencies are going to be 3, 4, 5 choruses max. At that tempo we just were before, 5, 6, 7. I'm noticing this in all the years of teaching students, right? This is tendencies on the blues. One more, okay? So we'll do F this time. 1. Can I play this fast on the piano?
Let's see.
We're gonna find out. I hope none of my former piano teachers are watching out there. I'm very sorry. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, ouch, how many choruses is that?
No idea.
It was just 6.
6,
I thought it was
8?
Yeah, more like 8.
Felt like 8. The bass player got real tired after the third chorus, right? So faster tunes, obviously, most people are going to probably want to stretch out and play more choruses. Yeah. What I've noticed in Jeff's playing is he's got a really, I've always loved this about your playing. You have this real steady climb to an apex in your solo, like every time. No matter how many choruses it is, he's obviously climbing to an apex, to some sort of a peak. And once you hit it, it's very clear, it always sounds great, and then we get one more chorus after that, and he's out.
That's interesting because I'm not aware of that.
Really?
Exactly. Like I know I try to start, always, every solo. I've learned to tell myself this after doing a couple of recording sessions where every solo just felt like I was going right out of the gate. I was like, that's not grown up playing, right? So I listening to Joe Henderson playing trio, it's like he starts at nothing or miles, or so anyway, so I consciously worked on starting with very little, most of the time. But sometimes it's fun to come in swinging for the fences, depending on what happened before. But so I'm really aware of that, and I am aware that I do want to build. But the way you're talking about it, I've never thought it through beyond that. So it's interesting that I sort of have a formula that I'm unaware of.
Yeah,
which is okay.
I think we all have that to a
Yeah.
certain degree. I thought it's just very clear
Cool.
in your playing. Yeah.
And when I hear that, it pisses me off because I don't want to be predictable. So now I'm going to start thinking about this because there are other shapes than start low, build, 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 hit a climax, and now bring it down. That's a great shape. Tried and true. There's other shapes. So now I'm going to start working on other
I
shapes.
didn't mean to piss you off.
I'm angry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I still getting?
With a smile on my face.
Am I still getting paid?
Well, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, probably. Why
Okay.
not? Yeah. You,
Okay.
you gave me a lesson. Come on. Hell yeah, you're getting paid.
Okay. Let's play a standard now. I want to
Okay.
see what happens if we play. Let's see. What standard should we play? Meaning, what can I play on piano?
Exactly. Yeah, if you want me to play piano, it's going to be B flat, you know,
Well,
that's
that's cool.
about 140. So
Yeah. No.
pick any tune you want.
You'll
because
do that
B
for me
flat
in a
wins
second.
at 140.
I'm curious to see what happens if we play in a mellow tone. How many choruses you're going to want to play? Let's try it.
Well, the melody or just right on so.
Boo-wee doo da. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Was that 3?
Just two.
2. I thought it was more. In a good way. Like, I thought that was more choruses. Did I stop before you were ready to stop? You're done.
No. I was long now.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things I say in my masterclass groups, because I work with some polite people. These are like, you know, these adults out there, these adults out there. They have like real life jobs, and they've had to learn how to work with other people, and you know, like
HR?
Yeah, HR, working with HR, and so they tend to be very polite. So sometimes, you know, in a masterclass group, let's play Beautiful Love, great, and we count it off, and I don't say anything. We never talk about solo lengths or orders on purpose in my group, because I want to develop the nonverbal communication. And lots of times it'll be someone takes one chorus. and that's cool. But then everyone takes one chorus. So there's sort of this overly polite thing, like, I'll take, it's a class, but that's, the vibe is we're here to play, right? So that one chorus thing. So I've said numerous times, if you want to be a jazz musician, you have to overplay.
Yeah.
You have to play way longer than you think. That's how you know you're a jazz musician. Like tongue-in-cheek joke, right? But that is part of our heroes, like playing these longer lengths of time, right? So a little kid, my analogy, I like analogies, not sure if you're aware of that. Little kid can write a sentence, and that's great. And developmentally, I like dogs. Beautiful, honey, great job. And so at some point, I like dogs, comma, because they're cute. Cool, so now that sentence is twice as long. How about write me a paragraph about dogs? I like dogs. My dog's white, his name's Blue. There you go, that's a paragraph. And we can make a more complicated paragraph. At some point, can you write me a page about your dog? Can you write me a short story about your dog? Can you write a novel about your dog? Right? And so handling longer periods of time, I think, is part of our development here. We don't have to, not everyone needs to be a novelist. We need short stories and haikus too. But I think that's part of our development as a jazz musician, because we're always looking for new devices and rhythms and substitutes and all those cool things. So we can't jam all those into a chorus of blues. So all the stuff we're learning necessitates a little time. So there's this kind of balance of playing the situation, playing the room, playing the setting, playing what I'm able to do. But I think sometimes I jump out a little early, sometimes in my solo, relative to some of my peers. I also think some of my peers play too long. So anyway, that's subjective, right? But in my classes, I'll challenge people. Okay, we're going to do the tune again. Everyone take 3 choruses, which I know is way more than they want to play. And the challenge is, can you keep my interest for 3 choruses? And then when that doesn't happen, we talk about strategies.
Right.
So I think it's cool to know how many courses is enough. And then just that, if you're a creative writing student, at some point, write me a longer piece, and can you hang?
Yeah. Well, the purpose of this exercise today, and it really is just an exercise, of course you all knew this coming in, there is no right answer. There is no this many in this situation, this many in that situation. It's entirely and completely subjective all the time, right? And I think what's important for you to remember is, you said it earlier, after you played the first blues, you said, read the room. And so it brings us to really what I think of the most in teaching this concept is, what is the room that you're trying to read? It's not just the audience, it's the other musicians. Read the other musicians. Literally, sometimes it's important to open your eyes and look around and make sure you still got everybody with you. There's a great musician I play with in Pittsburgh, and since this might be out there on the world, I won't say who it is, but when we were younger, this musician and I played a lot together. And this person could not fix their face. When somebody was playing too many choruses, it would go. I mean, like on the bandstand, it was like, bro, you gotta fix your face, man. Like, whoa, But he was never wrong. And this cat's one of my best friends. I caught him doing that to me one time. And I was like, dang. And he wasn't wrong. He's not wrong about it. You do need to read the other musicians. And I think other musicians on the bandstand need to, I think it's okay when someone's gone one too many. It's okay to kind of be like, hey, yo, you just got thrown out at home plate, man. You didn't need to go for extra bases.
And sorry to interrupt. Sorry, I sounded very Canadian there.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
Canadian greeting.
So depending on the person's playing ability, and as I look around the room, we've got a lot more advanced players here. For a novice player, sometimes they're not confident with where they are in the chorus, and now they find themselves three measures into the next chorus, and it's like, well, damn, right? So do I jump out late and hope I don't lose the band, or I've just committed myself to another 5-mile walk here? So so there's sort of that. So this all plays into that the presupposition that we know we're at the end of the chorus, that we have the bandwidth to say we're playing a third chorus, right? So there's that building.
Yeah, and in those cases, I always tell my students, if you find yourself a couple of bars into the next chorus and you regret that choice, stop. Bail. Pull the ripcord. You know, or if you're lost, like, yeah, give yourself a chorus or two to try to find it, and then if you can't find it, then end at the end of a phrase. If you're in the middle of the form and no shame here, man. When I get lost and I have to bail on a tune, I'm like, nope, I'm sorry, cats. I'll just make it worse the longer I stay in here and try to fix it.
Right.
So I'm just like, just pull it, get out there. You know, parachute, get me out of here. There's no shame in that. There's also no shame in turning around and asking, like, where are we? That's okay, because that does play into it. Sometimes when I hear younger players, yeah, they're playing one or two extra choruses past where I think they should. It's like, are they lost?
Right.
Are they looking for the exit ramp, so to speak? So, yeah, it's very subjective. But I wanted to talk about this because it's something I'm passionate about. It's also something that I think there's all these sayings that we have in the music, and I question how many of them really were said by the people that are purported to have said them, and how many of them are like urban legends.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the famous Charlie Parker quote, I've used it before. It's like, you know, if you can't say it in two, you shouldn't say it at all, or something like that. And that was in my head when I was a younger player, to the point where it was like, oh man, I'm taking the third chorus. I'm really saying too much. And like, how many recordings do I have of Bird playing live where it takes like 9 choruses? Right?
Yeah.
So what did he mean by that? Did he mean thou shalt not play a third chorus? Or did he mean that you should be able to say it in 2? And if you can say it in 2, then take longer. I don't know what he meant. We'll never know. But that's one that's worked its way into a lot of people's pedagogy and into our brains. Like, I can't take too many choruses. It's disrespectful, right? So you got to find the balance between being respectful of the other musicians, not playing too many choruses, read the room, but also what's your obligation to the song, what's your obligation to the arc of the song. It's not just one person's song, it's everybody's song. What's your obligation to elevate and propel the music? You're playing jazz because you love the music, so what's your obligation to take some chances, take some risks? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You play 2 or 3 choruses and that's all you play, you're not putting yourself in a position to take risks. Yeah.
There's another aspect to it also. If there are lyrics, you should know the lyrics, and you should form your solo based on the lyrics, based on the sentiment of the song.
So what do you say? Let me repeat it. You should know the lyrics. You should base solo on the lyrics and the sentiment of the song.
Right.
What I would say about that is I know the lyrics to 2 songs, and they're probably wrong. So I know no lyrics. I don't care to learn them. So it's interesting because you're right, and I'm pretty unarguably wrong.
But you're owning it, which is really pretty cool.
Yeah. So, let's go with I'm cool. Yeah. So every time I hear that, I'm like, damn, I need to learn more lyrics.
Yes, same here.
I mean, it's
Glass houses, man.
yeah, it's really true. So I could argue that not knowing the lyrics, I'm not encumbered to an emotion. I don't have to phrase it that way. So the trick is lyrics really help you phrase it in a mellow tone. I know that. I don't know all the lyrics to that tune. I probably know more than 2. But that helps me phrase it. I'm not going to play in a mellow tone. That makes no damn sense, right? So your point is way on, right? Knowing the lyrics is definitely helpful. So I think over the course of 30 or 40 years, I've developed a lyrical and melodic sense that serves me in spite of not having done that good homework. So when people say that, it's people usually say it like it's fact, and it's not fact because I'm a good player and I don't know lyrics. So, but I'm always going to argue your side of the equation.
I didn't mean it to sound.
Oh no!
The only thing.
No, man, you said it the way.
Another.
No, you said it the way I heard
You
it.
said it.
Yeah, you said it the way I heard Lester Young say it, and I heard it.
Doesn't he
There's
always
no
sound
way I'm the
like
right
Lord?
side of this equation. Yeah, there's no way I'm on the right side of the equation, but I am a survivor.
So this is coming out a little bit from the other direction. So most of us practice with Iro Pro or David Soul records. So the Soul records will go 12 choruses. So I know I kind of get in the habit of just playing. I don't know that I always think in terms of developing my solo.
Yeah.
I'm just trying stuff. And I know when I listen back to recordings for JazzWire, I'm like, yeah, I was just trying stuff. You know, and it's kind of almost that habit that you develop from practicing with those kind of modalities. Do you have
Yeah, so this is a great point. So what Jim was saying is, you know, we all practice with Aerosols and iReal Pro and these tracks, and we stop for like one of three reasons. Track ran out, I need a beer, or no, it's only two reasons. Okay. All right, we lost it.
Because I really.
Yeah, you just got back from Germany. So.
Yeah,
Okay. So I often will coach students to do that, like practice because they're not good at getting out solos because we never practiced it, right? So that's it. Play 2 courses, or set your iReal Pro to do 2 courses, and you have to stop. Or for someone that finds themselves getting lost in a form, set it for 1 course, and so things like that. So I think it is worthy of practice. Clearly, we're doing an elective on it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that idea of just giving yourself an assignment, and then maybe to my point about challenging yourself to stretch, do 3 courses. Force yourself. Maybe you're good with 2. Force yourself to do 3, and then as you listen back to the 3rd course, really see that it added something beyond the 2nd. And the first many times it won't. It'll just be saying what you said the 2nd course a 2nd time, right? And so maybe that makes you think, wow, okay, on that dominant 2 chord, I need some new material. Great, you just gave yourself a lesson. Now you know to practice for the next one. So we're talking about JazzWire, right? People are posting on JazzWire and doing this. So some people will post a 7-minute version of something. Newsflash, I don't listen to your 7-minute post. So I'll jump in, jump out. But so the cool thing on JazzWire is we can post what our goals are. Hey, I'm just trying some stuff out. Or here's a bunch of minor pentatonic, seeing what happens. And so that's great. This isn't supposed to be a solo on an album. This is experiment. I love that. Here's someone saying, I'm trying to build a solo. So now I'm listening with different ears. So I think it's worthy of practice. And for those of us inside JazzWire, when you let us know sort of the goal of your post, that always lets me listen with the correct set of ears or something. But it's a good point.
Here's something for you to think about too. You make a great point about the iReal being the track and all the courses. So when I was younger, and even now, I didn't play with Aerosols. I played with the records. So I would improvise over top of Miles or Clifford or Cannonball or whatever. I learned all their solos, but I would also, because I always thought like, Wynton Kelly and Paul Chambers and Jimmy Cobb are swinging way harder than who's ever on this Aerodol. Unless it's the Cannonball out of the Aerodol, which literally has Lewis Hayes and Sam Jones on it. In which case, play with that. But I would play with those recordings, and I remember thinking, okay, Miles is done, so I should be done. I don't need to play any Cannonball solo, right? Or if I'm playing over Cannonball, Cannonball's done, and I don't need to play any Train solo. What that I think did for me, and I've used this with lots of students, you start to develop an intuitive sense for what, I mean, they were masters. You get 3 courses of a Cannonball Adderley solo, it's 3 courses of frickin' wonder, right? What's it feel like to play 3 solid courses and just, now I'm done? Cannonball will show you the way. So we think of phrasing in these small little chunks, like 8-bar phrases or 16-bar phrases or whatever, but phrases can be as long as we want them to be. So on that sort of macro level, a 3-chorus Cannonball solo, blow over top of that. What's that feel like?
So if I may, in the long list of things that I've done wrong, number 1 is not learning lyrics. Number 2, like this is super illuminating, what he just said. Like really mind-opening.
Like everything that's wrong with James is just revealed to James.
Everything that's right with James is like Greg Boyer, who I know pretty well. Greg's ridiculous, right? So he's hearing James for the first time last night playing solo, and Greg was like, and talking about James' feel, like, what the hell, man? Like he was stunned with how damn hard you were swinging. Just saying. I know. You gotta watch that face. Yeah. So, but seriously, and that's something that's super clear about your feel. And so I've always kind of, wondered about that, or it's like, I want more of that. Every time I play with you, we talk about that. It's like, oh, dude, that feel, and it just kind of reminds me of I need to be doing that. And so I've never heard you mention that. Like, first of all, you played along with records a lot, but you said, I didn't really do Aerosols. All I've ever done is like Aerosols and iReal Pro, and I almost never play with elements. So what you said makes so much sense, because it's not that you're playing a transcription along with Miles, you're just playing with Miles. So if you play da-da-da-da-da, you might play da-da-da-da-da. Not the same thing, but you got that sound and that feel, just getting programmed and programmed and programmed and programmed, as opposed to, crappy feel that you're trying stuff with.
Yeah.
So again, that doesn't make me a bad player or whatever else. We're both sitting here teaching a class together, but we came at this from really different sides.
Totally.
And what you front loaded is so clear in your playing.
Thank you.
Really interesting. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I used to also, I really do appreciate that. I found that what I would like to do in those cases is I like to play over the piano solo a lot, because I can hear myself better, right? And so I would play over the piano solos. I would play over the solo, over top of all the players. But the piano solo was where I always kind of felt like it was almost like my own personal really swinging Aerosolve solo. So that's something you can try as well. And then the other thing that I think I'm really grateful that I did was I used to, and I don't know if this helped me with playing the right amount of courses or what, but like when I was 13, I got into music when I was 12, 13 or so, and there wasn't anybody else in Morgantown, West Virginia, my age, playing the music. And so, when I was in like freshman year of high school, I mean, I wouldn't go out and hang out on Friday nights. I would stay at home and practice, and I would play sets. So I would pick tunes from different CDs, and I would be on the gig, almost like make believe I was on the gig, just to put myself through that, because I had never to play with. So I'd choose 5 or 6 or 7 tunes, play with the recordings. I might play Miles' solo, I might play my own. When my courses were done, I'd sit down and listen to the rest of the band for that tune. It just was fun to do, but I think it got me into a mindset of like being able to hear phrases on a higher level altitude-wise. I don't mean like a higher level intellectually, just I think of it in terms of altitude.
Yeah, wow. You were super deep.
I did not have a lot of girlfriends at all. But now I'm a college president, so those that ignored me did so at their peril.
Exactly. Want to play a tune?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that'd be great. Can you play me a blues?
Yeah.
Jeff might tend to be salty. Now I'm self-conscious about how many courses I'm going to play. Oh no! Whatever you.
Flat.
Yeah, great. Wherever you want it.
2, 1, 2, 3.
Jeff made?
I tell you what I should have bailed when my double time fell apart. Yeah, my double time fell apart and I should have bailed. So I had to do that over again. I had to stop at the end of that course and just say, no, no. I took one too many courses, so I was trying to redeem myself on that double time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's high risk, high reward on trumpet. Every time you get out of line, and all of a sudden you sound like a chump, man. How many courses did I play?
I won't say 5.
Maybe? Yeah. Maybe it could have been. I was conscious at the end where I was like, wow, in your master class on how many courses is too many, you've clearly taken too many courses.
That's where your double time fell apart. You're thinking about it.
It was.
See, there's positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. This is just good teaching.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. No, I played one or two too many courses. Hey, you know, it happens. Questions? Not very illuminating, but there's no right answers.
I guess that's
me.
5 minutes.
5
Oh,
minutes.
5 minutes.
Cool.
Well, I like to always see the last 5 minutes of questions or anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
There they are.
Yeah.
It felt to me though, even though you didn't like it, like at the end, it felt more conversational. Like kind of, it's not just a peak and then a come down. At the end, it kind of felt like you had little ups and downs to it. It wasn't just like one overarching.
Jeff happens to really, I've never played with you when you're playing piano. You sound really good. He's got more facility in his right hand than I do. So I was able to interact with him more than he was with me, if I'm being honest. And I got a pretty standard set of voicings, and my left hand's pretty good. I was able to really have a conversation with him. So it's probably another reason why I wasn't thinking so much about how many courses. I really did feel like we were interacting. Yeah, so that's a good observation.
Actually, I think something I noticed from both of you, but James, you were saying, you went one course too many, but when you finished your last course, we knew that you were finished because you came down that blues scale, and you too, Jeff.
Yeah.
On every solo you did, when you finished, you aimed for the end, and I think that's a really good point. How do you know when you're done, when you aim for the end?
Well, so Ron makes a good point, and maybe that's, if there's like an Uber answer to this, how many courses, is too many or what's the right number? The right number is the one you're ending. It's the end.
Yo, that really is it.
It's kind of deep,
Because you don't want to say, there you go.
Yes.
No, you're done, man. You said, you put a period on the end of the sentence, get the hell out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so J and J and R. Because I think that actually just makes a lot of sense that, well, and that's kind of like Bird's coherent, that coherent statement thing. We think so much, I talk so much about where I begin a solo to leave myself a lot of line to go. We talked about peaks and everything, but I think probably the thing that makes that X number of courses land is that good ending.
Yeah.
And that's a big one. And in my group this morning, it was a more novice group, like everybody could play. We were playing tunes without having to stop for sure. But there were people who haven't played with other people in years thanks to COVID, right? And so that idea of man, is that solo over, or are we taking the next one? And so those instincts kind of either haven't been developed or what was there is atrophied a little bit. It's like you've been on a desert island, you haven't talked to somebody in 2 or 3 years. So yeah, it might be hard to get the conversation going, or those little social cues, right? So I think that's a big deal.
Well, I hope it was beneficial at least to just get inside Jeff's head a lot. I mean, that was what I wanted to do, so thank you for being able to be that guinea pig. And
Sure.
I'm always interested in what great players are thinking about, what they're reflecting on right after they get done playing. We don't, as we were saying in one of our episodes, we don't do that to each other on the gig. When we sat up at the bar at the supper, it's like, hey, what were you thinking? You don't do that, but it's kind of cool to have that, what was going through your head? Did you feel like you played enough? Did you play too much? So that's revealing. And so I would encourage you all at this thing, right, for the next couple of days, at least for me and Jeff, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but don't be shy about walking up to me. If you hear me playing, you're like, what were you thinking? I might not be able to tell you, but ask. Because like great players let me ask. I'm not saying I'm a great player, but like players who are more seasoned than me let me ask those questions, and we're really cool about answering. So ask those questions. What were you thinking? You know, don't be shy about asking.
Yep, and I'd say unrelated to this class, but I just like saying it at this workshop and others, is I hope you've learned 20 cool things today. And you'll learn 20 more tomorrow and the day after and the day after. It wouldn't be impossible for you to learn 75 or 80, like really amazing things, and to get super overwhelmed with it, right? So one bit of good news is we're all in JazzWire, and we can keep this stuff going. Man, what did so-and-so mean when they were talking about the inverted something, whatever, right? So we can ask those questions. In most other settings, 50 people go to our 50 different locations, and that's it. And you have notes or you don't, good luck to you, right? So now we have this place to work together, to ask the questions, to kick each other in the butt, all that. So that's good. The other thing I'd say is if you learn 75 things, I would plead with you to forget 70 of them immediately.
Yeah.
Honestly, I will plead with you, because you're going to go home with 75 ideas, and I don't think that's hyperbole. There's no way that's actionable. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to start judging yourself. You're going to, yada. There's all the defense mechanisms come up, and now nothing gets acted on. I've done it. I've seen it with students. So learn 75 great things. Be excited. Take the 5 that tickle you, that blew your mind. Like for me, simple and silly as it is, playing along with albums more. That's how you get them. So I learned, by the way, as much of these things as anybody does. So that's going to be on my list of 1 to 5 things that I'm going to change my practicing next week because of this, right? So just that idea of you're drinking from a fire hose all week. So that idea of please give yourself permission to set a lot of it aside forever or for later, and then take those handful of things. And man, that is time and money well spent to leave with 5 gems that you know how to act on. So there we go.
Thanks,
Does that
guys.
sound about it?
Nice time.
Yeah, this was good. Well, thank you all for being here.